everyone. Today we've got a great talk from Abby from Edge Hill University all about preparing for open days and HE fairs. Really looking forward to this one. Without further ado, I will hand over to Abby.
Thank you, Rosa. Hi, everyone. My name's Abby and I'm in the student recruitment team at Edge Hill University. So this session today is going to be on preparing for open days and higher education fairs. And we are going to focus on virtual versions of these today, just because that's what's really relevant at the moment. You might find that a lot of these events are still taking place virtually. So in this session, we're going to have a little look at the different types of higher education fairs. And we're going to have a look at what you can do during these events to help you maximise your experience. And we'll also have a little look at what you can do after those events as well, just so you can reflect on what you've experienced. So we're going to start off by having a little look at the different types of HE fairs first. So there's two main providers and they're pretty well known throughout the UK. And you might have heard of them before, actually. So the first provider is UCAS, and they usually have about 50 nationwide events throughout the year. And they usually hold what we call shell scheme events or on-campus events. And they'll usually have about 250 exhibitors who'll pay to attend those events. So that's 250 different types of universities, really. The other provider is UK University Search, and they hold 12 nationwide events throughout the year. And they're usually held in football stadiums, and they often include apprenticeship providers as well as universities. So both have got different seminars that you can attend throughout the day just to find out a little bit more about a particular subject or topic relating to higher education. And all of them are really aimed at year 12 students or first year college students, just as you start sort of researching those options after school and college. So your shell scheme events tend to be the big events, and they have a lot of exhibitors, and there's usually lots and lots of students that attend those. So these are the ones where you'll generally tend to find that most universities will be there at these big shell scheme events. And that's what they look like there on the screen. Then there's some smaller ones, and these are usually campus events. So some universities might be more selective of whether or not to attend them, but the majority of universities will still attend both. There's also stadium-based events, and as we said before, these are actually run by UK University Search. So these will be based at certain football stadiums in one of the many function rooms that they tend to have there. And just like with the UCAS fairs, you'll pass through different stalls and ask different questions just in the same way as you would at those other ones. You might also have the chance to attend events at your school or college, and these might be called higher education fairs. They could be called progression fairs or maybe careers fairs. And you'll find that some universities will attend these events as well. So they might be local universities that attend these events. And then, of course, there's virtual fairs too. So these have obviously become really, really popular and common with everything that's happened over the last year. And just like your physical fairs, you can also visit virtual fairs and speak to lots of different universities in an online capacity. And this is usually a combination of live chat, webinars, and lots of different online resources that you can have a look at as well. So it's pretty much the same as a physical fair. You can access all of the same information and get all of those answers to any questions. It's just via your computer or mobile device rather than in person. So what can we actually be doing to prepare for these virtual fairs? So one of the most important things to do before you do attend any event is just to start thinking about what sort of courses actually interest you. So also what universities actually offer those courses as well. And what kind of university are you interested in going to? So do you want to go to a Russell Group university? Do you maybe want to think about a city university or a campus university? So think about what experience you might need as well. And also what accommodation and support is available and what grades do you need to get in? Because all of these things that you think about in advance are going to affect which universities you take the time to speak to. So it's really, really important to have a plan when you attend these events because it'll just help you make the most of your time whilst you are there. So have a little think about those things and anything that you might want to find out about, and make a list to take with you just to make sure you get those questions answered whilst you're at the event. So you'll also want to find out about the grades you need to get into university. So different universities want you to have lots of different things. Some will want you to have specific GCSE grades, and they'll want to know about your predicted grades as well at college. And obviously things have been a little bit different over the past year, so it's definitely worth checking out any university policies and sort of seeing what their grade requirements are for those entries as well that are coming up. Do be aware as well that some universities might not accept BTECs and they may prefer A levels, and some may or may not accept the likes of functional skills. So academic grades that you get will equate to something called UCAS points. So if you're doing A levels, BTECs, or anything like that, they will equal a certain amount of UCAS points. And universities will request a certain figure of UCAS points just in order to get into certain courses. So if you're unsure about how many points you might be able to get, you can actually pop online and use something called the UCAS Hub. And on there is a UCAS tariff points calculator. And you can pop your predicted grades or the grades that you're aiming for into that calculator to find out how many points you could potentially get. So just like registering for a physical fair, you will actually need to register to attend a virtual fair as well. So you'll need to submit an online form with things like your contact details, your date of birth, and also maybe your school details as well, and any subjects that you're interested in studying as well. And then you'll receive an email back from them confirming your registration and providing you with a link to access that event. If you don't receive this, do check your junk email as well, because sometimes emails like this can actually end up in there, which makes it quite easy for you to miss. So there's some top tips that I definitely recommend before attending an event, and these would include the likes of checking out the exhibition guide online just to see what universities are actually attending. I'd also recommend taking some time to research those universities and just making yourself a bit of a short list of the ones that you really want to speak to on the day. It's likely that you won't have time to speak to every single university in attendance, so this will just help you prioritise which ones you really want to speak to. Then have a little think about what questions you'd like to ask them. So going back to what matters to you, what questions are you going to need to ask them just to make sure your priorities will be met? And also have a little look at the times of any live seminars that are on and try and schedule your day around those if they are of interest to you, because they can be really, really interesting and useful. So during the fair, just like physical events, you get out of a virtual event what you put into it. So it's really, really important to be proactive and speak to as many different universities as you can. If you don't have any specific questions at first, there will be lots of information for you to take in at your own pace. So it's a really, really good idea to follow any links to university websites, watch any videos or virtual tours that maybe they've posted on the platform, because these are just going to help give you a bit of a feel of what the campuses are like if you're not able to visit them at the moment. So there's some examples on the slide here of good questions to ask when you're at a fair. So it might be worth just making a note of 2, 3, or maybe 4 of these, but it's totally up to yourself which ones and how many you want to ask. So, for example, you might be interested in finding out more about accommodation options, what facilities are available at the university, is there any opportunities to study abroad, are there any opportunities or additional finance support such as scholarships and bursaries? What's the student union like? What sorts of clubs and societies can you do at that university? Think of some of these questions and make a note of them and think, what would you like to ask when you attend these fairs? So it'll be really, really beneficial as well for you to visit the stand of any university that you're interested in. even if you're not 100% sure that you do definitely want to go to that particular university. So even if you don't have any questions, if you visit the stand and give them your details, the university will probably then send you lots of helpful information going forwards that you can then look at in your own time and when you're ready. So this information could be about subject areas that you express an interest in, or maybe just to let you know about any events such as open days that are coming up. And you can always change those contact preferences later on if you decide that you're no longer interested in that particular university, or maybe you're getting too many emails from too many different universities. But it's definitely worth handing those details over so that they can keep in touch with you and maybe tell you about things that you didn't know you needed to know about. So there's also seminars available for you to attend as well. And sometimes these can be on specific subjects. So they might be really interesting and useful if you are deciding on which subject you might be interested in studying. There might also be seminars on student life and student experience, or maybe student finance. And you'll probably find that there is a seminar on the UCAS application process as well, and a chance to find out about alternative routes and pathways too. So make the most of these seminars by attending as many as you can, because these are going to give you a deeper knowledge and the information that you'll need in order to make the right choices for you and move forward. So what I would recommend doing is looking at the seminars first, choosing the ones that you'd like to go to, and then planning the rest of the day around those choices. So after the event then, so we'd recommend making the most of UCAS Hub straight away. So you can obviously find out more about UCAS Hub by looking online. You can simply type UCAS Hub into Google and take it from there. It will definitely come up right at the top there. UCAS Hub is great because there's a personalised landing page and it'll help you make some really informed decisions. So on here, you can actually list your favourite courses that you've seen. You can put any events in the diary as well. So think about any open days that you're going to attend, when you can maybe attend some residentials and things like that as well. There's also a personal statement builder there as well that you can use to help you start thinking about your application. And you can also chat with current students at university and find out more from them to help you make your decisions even more. You can also filter down those options as well. So you've got plenty of great things on there. And there's also the UCAS tariff points calculator as well that we mentioned earlier. So it's just a really, really good resource, a really good place to go and do that research is UCAS Hub. So we've got some top tips on this slide here. So firstly, just take that time to read the information that you've gained. Don't just go to the fair and then forget about it. Do go through the information that you've found, look through any notes that you've made, and shortlist those universities that are going to be the best for you. Make a note of any open days that are coming up as well, and try to plan to attend those if you can. You can also look out for and attend the likes of summer residentials as well. So a physical summer residential is where you would go and visit a university and stay over for a few days. And you'll stay there to experience what student life will be like. So if these aren't running physically in the summer, some universities might still be running them virtually, where you can actually go, log in and do all the taster sessions virtually online, and there'll still be some elements of student experience there as well that you can try out too. So there's lots of things you can look at going forward. So ask yourself, can you see yourself studying at that university in the future? So there's lots of things you want to be considering after the event really. So booking onto those open days, booking those subject taster sessions, and there'll be plenty of opportunities for you to get involved and find out more, whether that's virtually or physically. So for the last part of today's session, we're going to have a little look at open days as well. So if you've not been to an open day before, it's actually a chance for you to experience what a university has to offer and whether it's right for you. And you can do that virtually or physically, like we've said. So whilst you're at an open day, you'll probably be able to find out about subject departments, and you'll get a chance to speak to tutors and ask them lots of questions. Quite often you'll be able to hear from current students about student life. So you might find that there's a student panel, and you can go to that and ask them lots of questions about how they feel about the university and what sorts of things they get up to. Um, You'll also be able to find out about what sorts of clubs, societies, sports teams, and other opportunities like that are available. You'll be able to find out about the different university support teams as well. And you'll probably be able to have a little look around accommodation as well and have a tour of the campus or maybe the local area. So an open day is really, really crucial in finding out whether that's the right university for you. So virtual open days have obviously come on loads this year. So they can include anything from online seminars, virtual tours, and even live chats with current students. And lecturers too. I know we do live Q&As as part of our virtual open day for both staff and students. So each university will just run those slightly differently. So make sure you read any emails or social media posts that they publish, just so you really do understand how to access and make the most of those events. So actually, it really pays to understand the format of the event so that you can really make the most out of it on the day itself. So do take the time to really familiarise yourselves with it and figure out how the day is going to run and which things you really want to attend. So our top tips for making the most out of an open day would definitely include just making a short list of those open days that you really want to visit. Without the restriction of travel, obviously you can see so many more institutions now, so do make the most of that. Be both aspirational and realistic, so consider those that you might not actually visit in person for whatever reason. Avoid trying to do too much, so allocate one day per open day if possible, and structure your day around those subject talks. Most accommodation and campus tours will probably run throughout the day, so prioritise those subject talks and then you can fit the rest around those. Read about the course and the university in advance and really prepare a list of questions that you'd like to ask. And speak to current students if possible too, just to find out their honest opinions and try and figure out whether you can relate to them and whether you might have the same experience as them whilst you're there. And also try to start attending those open days now, really, so from June onwards, as some universities will hold events on similar days, so you might end up not being able to attend certain universities if they clash with other ones. So the earlier you start, the more likely it is that you'll be able to see all of those different universities that you do want to experience. So just to finish off, the sorts of things you want to be preparing ahead of any university event, whether physical or virtual, are obviously figuring out what sort of course interests you. So you can prepare by researching what's out there for you to choose from, figuring out which universities offer those courses and making sure to speak to those universities, find out if they're the type of university that you'd like to go to as well. So if you're adamant you want to go to a city university, there's probably not much point in getting caught up on a course at a campus-based university. Checking what UCAS points or specific grades are required. So make sure you check what's needed and whether that's previous qualifications or whether it's work experience, and make sure those are realistic options for you to explore further. And then also as well, what are the graduate employability rates for those courses and universities? Because that's important. At the end of the day, you want to graduate from university and have a good chance of getting a really good job as well. Okay, so it's over to you now for that further research. So make the most of UCAS Hub, as we've talked about. Use the UCAS websites. There's some great forums online as well, like the Student Room, where you can actually go and ask similar people in your position about experiences they've had at studying at certain universities. You've also got your schools and college teams as well. You've got your tutors, your form tutors, and your careers team, and they can obviously help guide you through the process going forwards. But don't forget about those closer sources of help as well. So obviously parents and guardians or siblings or maybe relatives that you might have. Have you got any friends that have maybe just started university that you could maybe ask some questions to? So make the most of what's going on around you and those personal sources as well. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the presentation today. So as always, if you are interested in finding out any more information about Edgehill University, our website is at the top there, www.edgehill.ac.uk/study. And over to you, Rosa, if you've got any questions.
Thanks so much, Abby. That was such a great talk. Yeah, I think VFAs and open days can be such a useful thing for kind of finding out more about different universities. So yeah, oh great. And there are some dates for anyone watching this. Even if you're watching it a bit later, there are some really useful dates for you to potentially go and check out Edgehill, which would be really cool. But yeah, thank you so much. This event has been put on as part of Hello Future Live. We're on until the 18th of June. We're having a break next week for half term, but then we've got another week which is all about study skills. So do check it out because exams are happening, if not coming up. So yes, thank you so much, Abby. It's been great having you again.
No problem, Rosa.
Cheers.